Welcome to the Caregiver Hour on 1250 WINS WHNZ, offering support for those who care for a loved one. A show that cares about you and supports and encourages you, the caregiver. Here's your host, Kim Linder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Caregiver Hour radio show. We hope you are having a beautiful week and that you've had a great weekend. We happen to be pre-recording this show, and it is Friday, and it is Go Red Day. So I wore my red top in honor of American Heart, Day. But I know that it is American Heart Month, but I just really wanted to honor that today, so I wore red. And perhaps you did too. Perhaps there's someone in your life who has heart disease, or you have heart disease, or you're concerned about getting that. And we are so thrilled to have Dr. Fadi Matar, who is an MD in FACC. He's a medical director of the cardiac catheterization lab at Tampa General Hospital. And we have also, just to kind of balance the show out a bit, is Lisa Travis, and she's a private caregiver, and so she has a heartwarming story. And it always is great to have a perspective of someone who is taking care of people every day to be on this show, because this show is all about you, the caregiver, the family and professional caregiver, the private caregiver, the neighbor caregiver, the friendly caregiver, the caregiver from church, from synagogue. Even just someone who you just met, you have this connection, and they end up caring for you in some sort of way. The Caregiver Hour is about empowering you to create balance in your life, to absolutely take care of your loved one, your friend, your family member, but it's also about taking care of yourself. And we have the information, resources, and guidance here for you every day. I mean, I do this show twice a week now, Mondays at 11 a.m. till noon, but also now on Saturdays from 5 to 6 p.m. So this show is available to you on podcast, on web archive if you've missed the show. So you can come and see what we look like, how much fun we're having here at the Caregiver Hour. But it's also to give you the information and resources. We have a helpline now as well, and that helpline is available 24/7 for caregivers. And I have caregivers that call me that have someone in their life who has a mental illness and does not know what to do. What is my next step? How do I get help? How do I connect to the resources? Or I have a caregiver get in touch with me because their husband is falling and they don't know, who do I need to see? Is it my doctor? Is it a neurologist? Is it someone who focuses on balance? We help you, the caregiver, get connected to those resources. And this helpline is toll-free number is 1-877-552-4950. This number needs to be in your phone at home, at your phone, your portable phone, on your refrigerator, by your computer, at work, in your car, or even at home in a place that you go to regularly. This is something you want to have. Again, this is a helpline for you, caregivers only, 24/7. And again, that toll-free number is 1-877-552-4950. If you are using your computer, you can access it right on our website, thecaregiverhour.com. There is a tab called the Helpline, and that's us. And that's how you can connect directly to the professionals, to the resources, to the experts, or me, and I am your caregiver coach. So we're so thrilled to have that added benefit for you. I want to really talk about some of the aspects of this show is called "You've Got to Have Heart," and that can mean so many things. And I'm just so happy to have Dr. Matar here, because he's really going to be talking about even though you may have a healthy lifestyle and it really doesn't make sense to you, you still may have heart disease. Maybe it's hereditary. Maybe it's something else that happened in your life where you have heart disease. I know that is for me. I'm basically a very healthy person, but I had my father who died of a heart attack when I was 1.5 years old, and that was his 7th heart attack. So that's, heart disease in my life. And as much as I would like to ignore it and just keep being healthy, I have to pay attention to that. And so I'm so thrilled that Dr. Matar is here. But, there's also some signals, some signs that occur, symptoms for women to know that they are having either some heart trouble or they're having a heart attack, and they can be different for men as well. So Dr. Matar is going to really help us understand all that and really enrich us and really help us not feel so fearful about it, but more about feeling empowered, and then have the ability to get resources, get to a doctor. Maybe it's an article he wants us to read. Maybe he's going to have the tips for us. So I'm going to really be excited when he comes on. But before we have Dr. Matar on, we have this lovely woman named Lisa Travis. And Lisa Travis is a private caregiver. She works with families who are asking for her services. And I bumped into Lisa. We bumped into each other a few weeks ago at a Starbucks in Carrollwood, and I was doing my work, typing away, and she came over to me and she said, "Are you Kim Linder?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "You did that symposium for caregivers, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes, that was about 2 years ago." She said, "You actually let me go for free, and I wanted to personally thank you for doing that because that was so kind." And I'm so thrilled to have Lisa here today. So Lisa, I want to welcome you to the Caregiver Hour radio show.
Thank you. Definitely a pleasure to be here.
Good.
Thank you.
So that was very kind of you to come over and say something to me. So tell me a little about what your experience was like at the symposium.
Well, it was very eye-opening and it was very nurturing. And there was a lot of different choices you could make on which seminars you wanted to see. There was a lot of people, a lot of energy.
Yes.
And it was really a day about yourself and giving back to yourself. You know, we're givers, so we're always giving, concentrating on other people. But it was just very healthy for me to kind of focus in on myself and focus in on things that keep me healthy. And as a caregiver, you kind of need to work on being healthy. What's the extra mile you can do for yourself?
That's great. So did you get one of the massages or aromatherapy? Did you do any of those?
No, I think my choice of pleasure for the day was food. They had some wonderful food.
Well, good. I'm glad you felt that you got nourished by food.
Right.
That's good. So the food was good. And how about that keynote speaker? Did you hear Lee Woodruff?
Do you know, I did hear part of it.
Okay.
So I actually did enjoy what she said. I think the person that I keyed into was Gail Sheehy.
Yes.
Because
I'm sorry, you're right. You went the year that Gail Sheehy
yes.
was there. Yes, she was the keynote speaker.
Right.
Did you like her presentation?
Yes, I thought it was just beautiful.
Good.
And also the way she evoked the feelings that she had for her husband.
Yes.
And it was like a roller coaster ride, what she went through, I felt. And she was just very poignant when she explained things. She kind of really opened your eyes to what you go through when you have a loved one that you don't know the answer. You don't know where the end of the road is.
You know, she was a caregiver for 17 years, so sometimes caregiving can be a long time.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then, go ahead.
I just felt that she was very competent and very confident in herself, and I had known her from the book Passages.
Right.
But I never really placed the face with the author, and she just came off very confident, and it was... I think it took a lot of guts to tell that story. You know?
I think so, too. She's actually written a play, and that play, she does not play herself. She has other people play her, and then her husband, and then a few other people. And it's a really small play, but I've seen the video, and it's very powerful because some real truths are revealed in that play.
Yes.
So I don't want to spoil it in case she does make it to Broadway.
That would be
That would then maybe come to Tampa. That would be fun.
Yes.
What do you remember? What breakout session you went to?
Well, I went to two different ones.
Okay.
And I went to one that was on hypnosis.
Yes,
And
with
it was
Patty
very,
Scott.
Yes, it was very interesting. And also, something happened when I was in the seminar. I was just very caught up in day-to-day life, and I was just very comfortable, kind of coasting a little bit and relaxing and being in the audience as opposed to, being a caregiver, and I enjoyed it. She had a lot, just kind of, I was paying attention to my breathing and things and really getting into relaxing. But she did talk a lot about the hypnosis role and how we could use that in our life. I know a lot of people have used it for smoking.
Right.
And I know it does seem to work for that.
Right. Yeah. And then did you go to another
Yes, I went
session?
to one about about planning estates and things.
Yes.
And that was pretty
Bob
interesting.
Decker.
Yes, they made that very interesting. They made it pretty lively.
Yeah, he's a great presenter and financial planner, and he also is a certified senior advisor like I am. So he helps seniors in all different aspects of their lives, and he also helps them connect with local resources as well. He's a really nice gentleman. So I'm glad you went to two interesting ones, hypnotherapy and then financial planning. Very interesting.
Very interesting and very relevant to life.
But we're going to have you come back after our break, and we're going to talk about a caregiver story. So I'm looking forward to that. So we want you to stay with us. I just want to let you know this next segment is being brought to you by Embracing Life, Advocates for Your Better Life. And we want you to get in touch with them. My wonderful friend Stephanie, all you need to do is call her at 813-536 and 7232. Again, let me give you that number again. It's 813-516-7282. And that's Embracing Life. And I will tell you that Stephanie is a wonderful advocate for caregivers. Again, it's called Embracing Life. We will be back with you very shortly.
Caregivers, are you worried about mom or dad needing more care? How do you know when it's time to get help? Since 2004, Harmony Home Health has helped seniors in Tampa Bay find joy in their journey. You'd be amazed at how just a little bit of care can go a very long way. From just once in a while to every day of the week, your loved ones experience independence, safety, and dignity wherever they call home. And your whole family experiences harmony. With Harmony Home Health, you are not alone. You can trust their family to take care of yours. Call 727-723-7532 or visit their website at harmonyhh.com/Kim.
Caring for an elderly parent or a loved one with special needs can be challenging, stressful, and frustrating. If you need help finding the best professionals in the field of home care, legal advice, integrated practitioners, respite care, or a great support group, call the Caregiver Helpline at 1-877-552-4950. That's 1-877-552-4950. It's a free service provided by the Caregiver Resource Network. Call 1-877-552-4950 or go to thecaregiverhour.com.
Caregiving has gotten harder and more complicated, even as families have more and more demands on their time. That's why AARP is here to help caregivers with the tools, information, and support they need to care for their loved ones and themselves. Check out aarp.org/caregiving to connect with other caregivers like yourself and find the resources you need. Visit the AARP Caregiver Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Injured in a car accident or suffering from back and joint pain for a while? Clearly, you need to see a doctor. Call Dr. Ben, a chiropractor with 25 years experience. He listens, he cares, he gets results. His common sense approach? Coaching patients to be self-sufficient and less doctor-dependent. Let's face it, there are many things you can do to improve your health. Call Dr. Ben at 727-488-8044. Mention the Caregiver Hour radio show for a free examination. 727-488-8044. Dr. Ben, your coach to better health. 727-488-8044.
I'm Mike Lavoie with Beacon Asset Management. While 30 years of experience in financial services may have prepared me to be a certified financial planner, no amount of planning could have prepared me for the stress of being a caregiver. The financial planning my dad and I did when my mother became ill made caring for her bearable. At Beacon, we are committed to helping you take care of your financial needs so you can take care of your loved ones. Give us a call at 813-269-0732. 813-269-0732.
The Caregiver Hour on The Caregiver Hour on 1250 Wins WHNZ. It's about taking care of yourself while you take care of others. Here's your host, Kim Linder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Caregiver Hour show. If you just tuned in, you've tuned into a wonderful show today. It's You've Got to Have Heart, and we all do. But we're really taking heart to another level. We've got a wonderful, heartwarming story from a private caregiver called Lisa Travis. And I want to just, again, reiterate the importance of having that caregiver helpline available for you 24/7. That toll-free number is 1-877-552-4950. And you can also find it on the website, thecaregiverhour.com, under the helpline. And you can connect right away with the professionals. They're available, again, We're all available 24/7. If we don't answer for any reason, just leave a message and people will call you back within 24 hours. You've got an elder law attorney, you have a home health company, you have an adult daycare center, you have ADT, which helps if someone falls and they can't get up, they can have this button that helps with getting help right away for you. So again, I am the caregiver coach, but if you need other kind of professional and you need to have resources, we want you to connect with us on that helpline. But I really want to get back to the show now and really talk to our wonderful guest, Lisa Travis, who's a little nervous. This is her first time on radio, but you're doing great. You're doing just great. And Lisa has a wonderful story. She is a private caregiver for many people in our community. You've taken care of. Families have gotten in touch with you, whether it's either at home or in an assisted living or a retirement community. You have helped people really, I guess, with just different types of care that you provide them. So why don't you give us a story? You had a particular story you wanted to share with us.
Yes, well, I've been doing caregiving off and on for about 9 years, but really full-time the last 4 years.
Okay.
And I was working for a family, and unfortunately, what happened was the elderly lady that I was with had a stroke, and she met an early demise. I've only was with her about 9 weeks, but we grew very close, and she sort of was like a mother to me. Mm-hmm. And so from there on, after she had passed, I was sort of faced with a very mini crisis as to what was I going to be doing next. But I was registered with an agency, so they called me and they said, well, remember that difficult client we have? The lady that doesn't really talk very much, and she's usually very sort of kind of in her own way and kind of isolated and not real friendly. She needs somebody full time, like next week. Can you start? And I was real curious what had happened to her caregiver. They said, well,
her previous caregivers, probably.
Yes, her previous caregivers. They, she just kind of could rub you the wrong way when you didn't know her well. So more or less the arc of what happened was I went in there just expecting somebody so gruff and just really going to give me a bad time. But what ended up happening is we became very close and very much like family together. And I had been with her before about 3 months earlier, and we had been together for 5 hours. And during that time, she would not permit me to speak very much. She really wanted me to be quiet and to show me my place being that I was the receiver, not the one being given to. And so it was a little bit uncomfortable, that memory of that this person didn't communicate very well with me.
So she didn't, and not just, she didn't want you to communicate with her too. So it must have been a lot of silence.
Yes, it was a lot of silence, and she would come and go throughout her day. And when I would initiate conversation, she just really didn't respond to my initiating.
That's how she did it.
She preferred that I would respond to her.
But she asked for you to be there, correct?
Yes, her family was making the distinction and the choice.
So now you had to get the rub, so to speak.
Right.
I didn't ask for you to be here. My family did. I can take care of myself. I don't know why they're bothering.
Right.
So she was taking it out on the caregivers.
It's a little awkward, but
well, of course it was, because it wasn't anything personal. It was her stuff, not yours.
Right, and I remember that day reading. She had a lot of military history books. She had been in the physical therapy field, trying to just think of what bond could we have together. And she did have some literature on the Nazi period of our history, and she had some real interesting books about that. So while she was gone, I was reading for about an hour, and then I tried to bring up some conversation with her, and she kind of opened up a little bit. She was a little more friendly, but that was the memory I had of her, was that it took several hours to get past her veneer of strength and independence and feeling imposed upon by somebody being with her.
Okay.
I don't entirely know if that was her feeling of the meeting, whether she felt somebody's here bothering me, but that was what she was presenting to me. So actually I did sign on to come back with her, and we became friends, and it was sort of like give and take, but it was a slow process.
I bet.
And we had some things in common. She was a person that loved to be alone. She really enjoyed her reading, being alone by herself, watching sports, watching TV, into her books and into her correspondence. Didn't really seem to seek out much social activities. Like she almost didn't need that social element.
So let me ask you, because I have a lot of caregivers who listen who could be in the same situation. Why did the family want you there or want a caregiver there then?
I think primarily they could see that she was kind of shutting herself off. They could see that. And they could also see that she just really needed to be encouraged to get out and do things. Okay. And even though, she had some physical ailments, but She just needed a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of coming out of her shell.
So did you help her with that?
Yes, we were able to find things that we liked together. And one of the things that she loved to do was she loved to play cards.
Okay.
She loved baseball. I didn't really know much about baseball. Now I have a love of baseball. Pretty much a lot of it came from her.
Did she have a favorite team?
She was pretty strong with, she liked the northern teams a lot. She was really into Boston and New York, and the Yankees. And I just don't feel like that I was going to be comfortable watching baseball because I just never enjoyed baseball. But after being with her, her excitement level, it kind of came around for me. And now I really do enjoy baseball watching it. Yes.
You also had told me that I know that before the show we had talked a little about your background, and you had said you had lost your mother at a relatively young age, and that was a loss for you.
And I was 31 when my mom passed, and I had lost a sister about a year and a half from that, from that. But my mother and I were always very close, and she was like the leader of the family and the glue of the family. Yep. And she just sort of always was a quiet wisdom that she had, and a very doting and a very sweet personality, very gentle. But she also was a little bit
your personality,
Yes,
Lisa.
she was
Take after your mom.
I felt at times that she was passive. You know, that was the one thing I felt she could have worked on. But when I understood more about her upbringing, there was some levels of a lot of family dysfunction there. So, but she was very healthy. She worked, and she lived in Fort Lauderdale, and I had come to school in Tampa. Right. And so when I would go to see her, we were just like fast friends. It's just probably the most important relationship of my life, because she just nurtured me, and we had such a closeness.
How fortunate.
I lost my father very young, so she was really like the head of the family for us three girls.
So how did this relationship with this woman who was pretty stoic, how did that end up changing for you?
Well, what was interesting is that there was less of a need. The more she became and came out of her own, there was less of a need for me to prove myself to her. I just felt that we knew each other and we were comfortable with each other, and that took a good few months. But the relationship ended up strengthening me because I learned, you don't always have to put yourself out there 100%. Do it a little bit at a time.
Okay.
You don't have to show everybody everything up front.
That's wonderful.
That's something that I tended to do in the past out of insecurity.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you learned some lessons and you gained a wonderful friend.
I did.
I'm so happy for you, Lisa. We'll have you
sharing.
come back at the end of the show, but I'm really thrilled to be having Dr. Matar, who's going to be really talking about healthy heart, really for us women. It is Go Red Day, and I am wearing my red, and I'm so thrilled that he's going to be here. The next segment is being brought to you by Assisted Transition. Finding long-term care for seniors is their specialty. Call 72.
Orthopedic Specialist Studios. This is 1250 Winds, WHNZ, Tampa Bay, an iHeart radio station.
Here's what people are saying about Investing for Retirement, the ultimate guide to not outliving your money, by Robert Harwood.
I recommend Robert's book to anyone who handles their family finances. It helps describe some of the options I didn't realize I had in a very understandable way.
Robert's book showed me a way to gain with no risk. It was a very worthwhile read.
I'm Robert Harwood. Call me now at 1-800-395-4279, and I'll personally sit with you and share the strategies from my book, Investing for Retirement. I'll also look over your investments and give you my insight on how to get and keep your investments on track. Call me today at 1-800-395-4279. Once you've experienced the Harwood way, you'll never settle for anything less.
Call Robert Harwood right now at 800-395-4279 for your no-obligation review. And you'll also get a copy of his bestseller, Investing for Retirement. That's 800-395-4279. Or visit him online at theharwoodway.com. Advisory services offered through the Harwood Group, LLC, a registered independent advisory.
Hi, this is John Greenhut, the CEO of Power Swabs, and I know how important a great smile is in business and with loved ones. If you want to erase yellow stained teeth in just 5 minutes a day, then try Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. Call now and try it risk-free. 1-800-663-5670. That's 1-800-663-5670. 1-800-663-5670.
Do you need windows and doors? Then you need to contact FAS Windows and Doors, Tampa Bay's premier window and door expert. Steve Demig here. Folks, when you are shopping for windows and doors, go to the company that offers the largest variety of windows and doors to choose from, in the Tampa Bay area with pricing to fit all budgets. Contact the good people at FAS Windows and Doors at 877-737-7173 or go to the web at faswd.com. That's faswd.com.
Harassed by debt collectors? Call 1-800-MORGAN-LAW. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
This update is brought to you by Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer.
The Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer is doctor recommended and backed by more medical studies than any other thermometer. Your family's healthcare deserves the best. The Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. Get yours at Walgreens and other fine retailers today.
For the Bright House Networks Traffic Center, we still have US 301 blocked both ways with a crash north of Stacy Road. Try and stay away from here. Westbound I-4, they're clearing that earlier crash from County Road 579 Mango Road. Everything's in the median and left emergency lane. There's a disabled vehicle in the left lane of the westbound Polk Parkway at the Polk Parkway Toll Plaza. And see traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Utica Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line at 866-545-9595.
1250 winds, weather center forecast. Highs in the mid-low 70s and there are plenty of sunshine today, staying dry. Lows into the mid-50s. Mid-upper 70s tomorrow, then a cool front in midweek. 60% chance of rain Wednesday. Cool temperatures Thursday into the lower mid-60s. 1250 winds, WHNZ.
It's the Caregiver Hour on 1250 Wins WHNZ with encouragement, guidance, and support for caregivers. Here's your host, Kim Linder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Caregiver Hour radio show. We are really celebrating Heart Day. You've got to have heart, and we're so happy to have Dr. Matar, who's MD, FACC, Medical Director of the Cardiac Catheterization Lab at Tampa General Hospital. And, you know, as speaking of National Wear Red Day, and this is being pre-recorded on Friday, February 7th. And so I wore my red, but by wearing red, we're living a healthy lifestyle and spreading the word that heart disease is killing our mothers, daughters, sisters, and friends. So this is really a great conversation to start with Dr. Matar because he is a cardiologist. So Dr. Matar, welcome to the Caregiver Hour radio show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Thank you. Well, what it means to go red is get your numbers, ask your doctor to check your blood pressure and cholesterol, own your lifestyle, stop smoking, lose weight, exercise, eat healthy. Doesn't this all sound so easy?
Very easy.
Very easy. Realize your risk. We think it won't happen to us. I'd have to say I'm one of those people. But heart disease kills 1 to 3 women, and that's really scary for us. Educate your family. Make healthy food choices for you and your family. Teach your kids the importance of staying active. Are these all things that you talk to your patients about?
Every day.
Every day. That's your mantra.
More than once.
More than once. And don't be silent. Tell every woman you know that heart disease is our number one killer. Raise your voice at goredforwomen.org. So, Dr. Matar, what wisdom would you like to share with us today, for all of our listeners and viewers?
Well, heart disease, as you mentioned, is the number one killer in every group, men, women, ethnic groups. And it's very important that, first of all, we realize that this is the case. And as we grow older, the risk is going to go higher. We should not be fooled by the fact that we feel good, therefore it's not possible that I'm going to have heart disease.
Right. I'd have to say that's a big fallacy.
Yeah.
But that's what we walk around thinking.
Yeah. Especially when it deals with women. In the old days, we thought, well, heart disease is a man's disease,
yes.
Which is absolutely incorrect. Heart disease is the number one killer in women more than cancer. As you said, 1 in every 3
yes.
women will die from heart disease.
It's shocking.
And of course, all of us are going to die from something.
Yes.
We're not going to die from nothing. But number one, the killer is the heart disease. And not only, an important question is not only to live longer, but to live happier
mm-hmm.
and healthier
mm-hmm.
and with no significant impairment to our lifestyle. So it's very important that we realize this fact. Now, we have come a long way with treatment of heart disease. since over the past 50 years, we have had a lot of advancements, not only in the diagnosis of heart disease, but also in the treatment. We learned a lot about the risk factors of coronary disease, how we can minimize those risks, which have led, all of these things led to a reduction of mortality of almost 40%.
That's great.
Mortality reduction in heart disease over the past 50 years.
You had mentioned that before you came to the radio station, you had a patient who, I don't know how old she was, but she has heart disease and she's healthy.
Yes. It's funny because I was seeing this young lady, not quite 60 yet, in the office about less than 45 minutes ago before driving to the radio station.
Right.
And I had to tell her, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go to the radio station, but it's funny because your situation is going to be so pertinent to what I'm going to talk about right now. And this young lady is she's an avid exercise person. She does a lot of yogas and treadmills, and she's an instructor in a health, in a gym, and then she has been having angina, and it's typical angina. She started getting jaw discomfort and neck discomfort on exertion, resolving with rest, and this led to cardiac testing, and we just diagnosed her to have coronary disease, and she will be needing to undergo coronary angiography next week. But and the question that she had is, how come I'm so healthy?
Right.
I never smoked, and I'm trim, and I exercise, and
I eat healthy.
I eat healthy. She's pretty much a vegetarian, and despite all this, she developed coronary disease. And the question to me was, how come, doctor? How come?
Right.
I don't know. Can you explain it? And unfortunately, I don't have the right answer for her. If we have answers for every medical thing, we probably will be gods. But there are lots of things that we don't know. Medical science is not exact science. We eliminate the most common things, but there are a lot of things that we still don't understand that can cause heart disease. For example, in this particular person, I'm not sure why the coronary disease developed, but there are some things like elevated homocysteine levels or elevated Lp(a), different fractions of the cholesterol particles that can be elevated, yet the total cholesterol may be normal.
Okay.
So there are lots of factors other than cholesterol that can lead to coronary disease that we are starting to understand. The question is, what can we do about it if we diagnose those kind of odd abnormalities to reduce the chance of heart disease?
So did you have her go for blood work, and it included these specific tests?
Not yet. We just diagnosed her to have coronary disease.
How do you know that these are the other areas around cholesterol that may be affecting her? Is this your assumption? Is this
we
historically
don't know.
Or this is your guess? Okay.
Yeah, this is my guess. There are different, like insulin level may be elevated even though you're not diabetic.
Right.
You might have insulin resistance. You can have a different lipoprotein, we call it lipoprotein a, that may be elevated, yet the total cholesterol is not. She may have, elevated homocysteine levels. This is a different kind of molecule that might be elevated that's higher in patients with coronary disease than patients without on average. And so there are different things that we know about that can lead to these kind of premature coronary disease or unexpected coronary disease that we have to look for in somebody who otherwise has no risk factor.
Right. And I want to go again because we may have someone who just tuned in, and this is so important, where the signs of distress, or the signs where maybe you have heart disease. What should we be looking or feeling and knowing that that's a red flag? We don't want to ignore this. We want to call our doctor.
Well, number one tip is do not assume that angina is pain.
Okay.
This is very important. So a lot of patients tell me when I ask them, are you having chest pain? They say, oh, no, doctor. And then when I ask them, are you having chest discomfort, pressure, burning? Oh, yeah. So angina typically is not pain. It's typically a discomfort, a pressure, burning.
Mm-hmm.
It may or may not be in the chest. It could be in the left arm or right arm, could be in the neck, could be in the jaw, could be in the back. And there could be no chest discomfort at all. And some patients develop shortness of breath. They feel breathless. When they do something, they have to stop because they cannot catch the breath. It could be fatigue, especially in women. Angina in women is more often than not different than the chest pain or chest discomfort. Fatigue is a very important thing. If you start to feel that I can't do stuff like I used to do. I want to sleep. I just want to sit down, do nothing because I tire easy. And then you attribute that to aging. That could be the anginal equivalent, and that's what we term it. Anginal equivalent could be fatigue, could be shortness of breath on exertion, could be left-sided chest discomfort, could be right-sided chest discomfort. It doesn't have to be pain.
Wow. It's hard even to go from there because I know there are times when I feel tired and I think I've had a full day. I got up, I went and exercised and had appointments all day, and now I'm tired. And so how do you know? We need to know this, Dr. Matar. How do we know the difference?
A good way I find that very helpful is to check with the spouse.
Okay.
I do get patients that come with their spouse, and I don't only ask the patient what they're doing or how they're feeling. I talk to the spouse. And what do you think your wife is today compared to 6 months ago? Or vice versa. What do you think your husband is doing today versus? Because we do have an element of denial. We always try to find benign reasons to some things that happen to us, and the spouse can't tell. And a good tip is talk to your spouse if you think you are at high risk for coronary disease. Make sure check with the spouse. I mean, or if you go to your doctor, go with your spouse, and typically the spouse will help.
I think that's really a great idea. I would love to go with my husband to his doctor appointment because I have my list, I have to tell you. But I think that's great because then you really get a different perspective and they are noticing something that you're not really wanting to necessarily admit. I'm going to have you come back right after the break, Dr. Matar. I have some other questions for you. This next segment is being sponsored by Beacon Asset Management. We would like you to call them at 813-269-0732. I'm sorry, it's 0752 for more information. Let me just go back again. And I have referred many families to him for his legal expertise. Bill is one of less than 100 attorneys to be evaluated by the Florida Bar and become certified as a specialist in elder law. His 30 years of experience and impeccable credentials make him one of the most highly regarded legal experts in our area. Give Bill a call today at 727-781-5357 or visit rambaumlaw.com. Non-attorney spokesperson.
If you or a loved one experience bladder control problems, here's important news.
For more than 5 years now, the nice ladies at the Caregiver Partnership have taken the time to understand my needs, suggest the best choices of bladder control products for me, and always get the right product delivered to my door fast and with free shipping.
To get started, simply call 800-985-1353 for your free catalog and $60 in coupons. Many people just like you trust the Caregiver Partnership for convenient home delivery of bladder control products, and they have more than 500 to choose from. Call now. The call is free. Shipping is free. free, and your satisfaction is guaranteed.
The Caregiver Partnership treats me like family and really
Your
knows
host,
their stuff.
Kim Lynn.
And they keep my business private.
Call 1-800-985-1353 now to receive your free catalog with $60 in coupons. That's 1-800-985-1353. Call now. The voice in the preceding advertisement is not the voice of an actual customer.
I'm Mike Lavoie with Beacon Asset Management. While 30 years of experience in financial services may have prepared me to be a certified financial planner, no amount of planning could have prepared me for the stress of being a caregiver. The financial planning my dad and I did when my mother became ill made caring for her bearable. At Beacon, we are committed to helping you take care of your financial needs so you can take care of your loved ones. Give us a call at 813-269-0732. 813-269-0732.
Caring for an elderly parent or a loved one with special needs can be challenging, stressful, and frustrating. If you need help finding the best professionals in the field of home care, legal advice, integrated practitioners, respite care, or a great support group, call the Caregiver Helpline at 1-877-552-4950. That's 1-877-552-4950. It's a free service provided by the Caregiver Resource Network. Call 1-877-552-4950 or go to thecaregiverhour.com.
Enjoy life at the Barrington, Largo's premier senior community. The Barrington, the resort lifestyle you deserve at a price you can afford. Life at the Barrington is truly senior living at ease, complete with chef-prepared meals, an activities director, and transportation to your favorite spots. Independent and assisted living homes are available now by calling the Barrington at 727-217-5681. Call the Barrington at 727-217-5681 to schedule your tour of their pet-friendly senior community today.
The Caregiver Hour on 1250 Wins WZ. It's about taking care of yourself while you take care of others. Here's your host, Kim Linder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Caregiver Hour radio show. This is really our circling back to the caregiver segment. And before we get back to Dr. Matar, who is the medical director of the Cardiac Catheterization Lab at Tampa General Hospital, and we're going to be talking more about heart disease and blood pressure, hypertension, I want to remind you that this segment is being brought to you by Beacon Financial, of Beacon Asset Management. We take care of your finances so you can take care of your loved one. And Mike Lavoie is the president and CEO of Beacon Asset Management, and he is a really wonderful gentleman, and I highly recommend you make an appointment to see him. You can call 813-269-0732 for more information, but you also can connect with him on our helpline. That helpline is really very helpful for you caregivers. It's right at the top at the when you go to thecaregiverhour.com. It's right at the top under where we have our tabs at the top, and you go to the helpline and it drops down, and Mike is really our go-to guy for finances. And he also has his link is also on our sponsorship page and on our radio show. So there's a lot of ways you can connect with Mike. But again, if you want to make an appointment, and I encourage you to do so, do that at Beacon Asset Management at 269-0732, area code 813. I want to get back to Dr. Matar because we were talking about women and how, we talk about how men can be stubborn, but women can be stubborn too. And we can also really be in great denial about heart disease. So Dr. Matar, we want to talk a little more now about maybe our blood pressure. We don't think of it necessarily connected to heart disease. How do you help us with that?
The problem with blood pressure is it doesn't cause symptoms. So you don't know about it.
Okay.
It's not like something that tells you, okay, you have to go to the doctor. You can have it and you have no clue that you have it. And the other problem is you feel good, but your pressure is high, and then we tell you that you need to take blood pressure medications that can give you side effect. And the question is, why should I take those pills, doc? They're not making me feel good. And then in the compliance to medicate with the medications becomes an issue. The fact is, hypertension is a strong predictor of cardiovascular disease, especially strokes. And in general, it increases with age. And it's not a matter of if you're going to have hypertension in most people. It's a matter of when you're going to have it. So traditionally, if you look statistically, is as we grow older, our pressures increase, and both this mainly the systolic blood pressure. The diastolic pressure typically decreases with age, but the systolic pressure increases. And that has to do with the stiffness of our vasculature. Our vasculature becomes non-compliant as we age. Non-compliance of the aorta and the major vessels of the body sort of contribute to the hypertension.
Wow. Okay.
So an important reason for hypertension is lifestyle. Lifestyle meaning dietary indiscretion, increased salt intake, caloric intake, overweight, inactivity, all lead into hypertension. And as a result, hypertension will lead into cardiovascular mortality and morbidity, including strokes, which is the number one aftermath of hypertension.
Okay, well, you've scared me. And I'm thinking there could be our listeners and watchers who are feeling like you need to go meet with your doctor and get your blood pressure checked. How often should you have your blood pressure checked?
Well, your blood pressure needs to be checked every time you go to your primary physician.
Okay.
And that happens. The question is, how often do you go to your primary doc?
Right.
It depends on your age. If you are middle age, you probably have to have it at least checked once or twice a year, unless you have risk factors. Now, if you get diagnosed with hypertension, it's very important that you buy yourself a blood pressure cuff at home. And the reason for that, and I keep telling my patients, it's important that you are involved with your blood pressure management. That's one reason. So if you are more involved in blood pressure checks and management, you are going to be a better patient.
Okay.
And you're going to get to goal easier, quicker. The other reason for that is there's something that we call white coat hypertension.
Mm-hmm.
The other version of it is white coat effect. So a lot of patients may have very high blood pressures, doctor's offices, but at home their pressures are normal. And that's what counts. Now, a smaller proportion of patients might have the opposite, might have normal blood pressures at their doctor's offices and high pressures at home.
Okay.
Okay. We call this masked hypertension.
Okay.
Now, masked hypertension is bad. So you want to go by what you get number-wise at home, as long as your blood pressure cuff is well calibrated and accurate.
Right. Okay.
Right? You want to make sure that it's accurate.
Yes.
So this is what we do. So if you have established blood pressure and hypertension, the recommendation is I usually tell my patients, the first week of every quarter, check your blood pressure at least twice a day. Put them down on an Excel spreadsheet or on a piece of paper and average those systolics and those diastolics. And when you go to your doctor, visit, show them that, because we look at the mean waking blood pressure readings, mean systolic and mean diastolic. In general, we want that blood pressure to be less than 140 and 140 or less, or 80 or less on the diastolic, unless you're diabetic. If you're diabetic, those numbers go down, those thresholds go down to 130 over 70.
It's complicated being healthy. I mean, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, wow, this is, I'm so glad we're doing this segment today. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
You're really enlightening, not just me, but I'm hoping so many and thousands of our listeners and viewers that you go and take care of yourself. It's so important. I mean, this is what the show is all about, but these are the hard facts. And I know I just was at the doctor's office, and I'm hoping it was the white coat syndrome, where, because it was higher than what you just said, but they weren't necessarily alarmed, but because it just seems like I'm inconsistent. So what does that mean when someone's inconsistent?
Well, blood pressure is never the same.
Okay.
You cannot.
So it fluctuates.
It fluctuates. I mean, Typically, when you exercise,
yes,
immediately after exercise, your pressure goes down.
Okay.
And that's good. So you want to keep exercising.
Right.
Yeah.
I am. I think it's going to be the food part that's with me.
Actually, the best treatment for hypertension is weight loss.
Okay. So,
I mean, much better than any drugs. I have so many patients, I stop their blood pressure meds.
Right.
If they lose enough weight.
Okay. So, maybe you'll come back another time and we'll talk about diet.
Sure.
Okay. All right. That would be great. So I do want to thank our guest, Lisa Travis, our private caregiver. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm hoping that it inspires other caregivers to really look at the journey that they have when they meet someone and how it can change their lives as well as somebody else. You can certainly stay connected to us. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And we are here. Our podcasts are available 24/7, and so are the video web archives. Again, that Caregivers Resource Helpline is available 24/7. I want you to use it. And that's at 1-877-552-4950. Perhaps you have a friend who's having difficulty with memory, or is falling or is feeling very angry. We can help you if you're confused. Just pick up that phone again, and we will be here for you. Again, that number is 1-877-552-4950. We have helped hundreds and hundreds of caregivers, and we continue to do so because that's who we are, and that's what we love to do. I want to again thank my guest, Dr. Matar from Tampa General Hospital, and Lisa Travis, a private caregiver. I'm Kim Linder, your host of the Caregiver Hour. Tune in every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on 1250 WINS WHNZ, and now on Saturdays from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's our pleasure to be here with you today.